Hello and welcome back to another episode of KSP POV, where we play Kerbal Space Program in first person. Today we are picking up where we left off on part 1 of this set of series. If you missed out, we also have a multi-part series going on for Escaping Kerbin as well, where we go to the mud. But this one, we're heading to Minmus. So in the last episode, we got ourselves into orbit. We designed the craft, and then we got ourselves into orbit and adjusted our inclination. So we don't have to do that. We've already done that. All we got to do is go out to Minmus. But I seem to be having a little bit of problems because I keep getting encounters with the mud. The time that I set it up just happened to be the worst time possible because I kept having to make orbits around the planet just to get the mud out of the way so I could finally get myself to Minmus. We go ahead and deploy the solar panels for the craft itself. The rover's panels I keep stowed away. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I go ahead and use Astrogator to plot in the course to Minmus. I'm not too happy with it. I don't think I end up using it. I've struggled with Astrogator. I want to enjoy it. I want to like it. It's supposed to be a good mod for IVA because then you can avoid using the map view to plot your maneuvers. But I don't find it to be very accurate. It always takes 2 burns, and I don't know. It just there's something about it. But I go ahead. Apparently I did use it to try to make my burn. So hopefully we'll be able to see here, how that goes about. So it brings me close, but then it puts me within, inside the planet. Just checking out on my vessel, see what we look like from the outside. And I gotta be very careful with that staging button. The very next stage for us is to release the rover from the top of us. And if we were to release the rover at any time before we're actually landed, there's a good chance we're either gonna lose it, break it, or just well, I guess those are the only options, because we just lose it. And it doesn't have enough communications to have control of it, so we wouldn't even be able to, put out the solar panels and the communication dishes and just make it into a makeshift comm set. So it's very important that we don't do that. So I go ahead and let Astrogator do its second burn, the second one that it plans, and it still doesn't do anything. Like, I'm still on a collision course. It's, it got me there, but I have to now do the work to change it, and I have to go into map view to do that, and it's like, well, why am I even using that if I'm gonna just have to adjust it in map view anyways? So I tried with Astrogator. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe, there's a setting or whatever. If you're familiar with Astrogator and you have a good experience with it, please let me know. See if there's something that I'm missing. Because I wanna like it. It's a screen for the IVA mode. I would love to be able to do missions completely in IVA without any assistance from the map, but the way that I see it right now, it's not likely. So now we're just gonna time warp our way out until we get captured. There we go, and our 3-minute warning to our maneuver happens. And we do our subtle maneuver, and it brings us to low space above Minmus, which is perfect. It's exactly what we needed. So now I'm using MechJeb to circularize at the next periapsis, and I plot that into Flight Computer. And then I look, and I realize that didn't make any sense. It didn't actually catch us at Minmus. It didn't produce the right maneuver, I guess. So yeah, so I was a little unhappy with that. We get a nice little view of Kerbin from the camera that's on the front of the rover. Get to see it disappearing. If you looked quick enough, you got to see the shadow of the Mun pass by it. Always like seeing other celestial bodies while you're out in space. It looks like we can spot Minmus coming up on our screen. So we go ahead and time warp to it. And then very soon our 3-minute warning comes down. We go ahead and fast forward until about 10 seconds. It's not too long of a burn. We've got about 5 engines going right now. Five Terrier engines, or Beagles actually. Excuse me. The Beagles are the Vens Parts Plus, I believe the name of the mod is called. It'll be in the description, but it's from Vens Parts Mod, and it's basically like a Terrier, but just with a little bit more thrust to weight ratio at the cost of slightly less efficiency, slightly less ISP. I enjoy the Beagle a little bit more. Just having a little bit of extra thrust to weight, comes in handy. So I've got a bunch of science to do, but I want to be very careful because we only have so much space, and I'm going to need to get my scientist out to reset things. So we go ahead and lock our stage because we're going to be landing and we don't want to lose anything. And then we go ahead and get our scientist out. And our scientist today is Urwise. They've been to the Mun before, so they kind of know what to expect. So we're just going to go out and take a quick look at our craft just to see it from the outside. And now we need to collect some experiments, run some experiments, and take all that data and put it into the command pod for safekeeping. But first, just a view. And we just twist it around. I know it's supposed to be in first person right now, but I just wanted to just get a nice cool shot of this craft and this rover. So there's a lot of science to be done, and so I am going to run all my experiments. I'm going to transmit what I can, but that's not really anything. So I'm going to run my experiments, and now we're going to get Urwise out and reset everything. so that way we can do it again. First things first, we grab the data from the Science Junior and then we restore it. And now we're just checking on all the different experiments to see what has stuff. And I didn't notice this. I actually noticed this in the last episode, but I didn't get a chance to bring it up during the build option. But I didn't notice this until way after the fact. But we never put mystery goo experiments on here. We're doing all this science, and one of the biggest things we just don't do. So now I'm going to start hyper warping the footage, because basically all I'm doing is scooting forward a little bit, taking a crew report and an EVA report, and a gravity, one of the graviton experiments. And I'm just doing it over and over again for each of the biomes, because you can get separate information for it. Nothing that you really need to see it. I don't think it makes everything, worth it, but I just wanted to include like a fast view of it to just see just how much we ended up doing and just how dedicated Urwise is to science. And we're scooting through, and we're starting to run out of EVA reports and crew reports that we need. So now it's going to be time to make our landing. Now, I'm pretty sure that where I'm going is the flats, because our contract requires us to do experiments at Minmus's flats. Not the greater flats, not the lesser flats, just the regular flats. And I'm pretty sure it's here. So now we're just going to get ourselves ready for the maneuver, which will bring us down to the surface. And once again, I locked the stages so we don't lose our side boosters and our landing legs in addition as well, because those are on the side boosters. I've done that before, where I go to start landing and then I accidentally stage it with the spacebar, and that's all she wrote. That was the end of that mission. Thankfully, this was before I was using TAC life support, so I was able to make a rescue mission, but definitely learned my lesson about staging. So now we're making our burn, and it's going to be taking us pretty much straight down. We're killing a lot of our horizontal velocity with this maneuver. I'm looking at our horizontal velocity as we go through, and then we end up passing the 0 mark for horizontal velocity, which tells me that we're starting to go backwards. And so I just kill the maneuver itself, kill the engine, and let myself glide back over to retrograde. And then it turns out our maneuver in the flight computer was incorrect. It didn't execute it correctly. We are not going to be landing in the flats like I expected to. But we're going to be landing on this little plateau nearby. And so I decided we've got a rover. We don't necessarily need to land exactly in the biome that we're going to be in. So why not land into a new biome, something that we've definitely never been on. And then we will drive ourselves to where we need. And we can grab the science of all the biomes in between those two places. So now we're time warping to get ourselves down a little faster, but being very careful not to time warp so fast that we end up crashing into the surface, or even just passing our suicide burn countdown mark. Because if you miss that mark by even a second, it's done. Mission over. So I changed my altitude readout, or my readout, from orbit to surface, and then I don't even deploy the landing legs. They actually deployed automatically because I used that landing gear auto deploy switch. So now I'm keeping an eye on my speed. I'm keeping an eye on the mech jeb landing guidance to tell me when to burn. And I hit the ground a little too hard. This is Minmus after all. The gravity is so light. And so now I'm starting to tip over, and I'm getting really panicked about that. So I quickly grab manual control and start adjusting my trajectory to kind of lean myself over a little bit. And with any luck, we managed to hold upright. Really just goes to show how good our pilots are, and the fact that we chose correctly. I believe today's pilot is Herbal. Herbal the Gerbil. So we go ahead and get Herbal out and softly bring him down on the surface of Minmus. Of course, he's going to have the honors of planting the flag. And as we're planting the flag, we notice a little rock formation behind him. And now we have staged off the rover. It is in the air right now because of the ejection force of the decoupler. And so now we're trying to control it from mission control room and get it to land safely. However, it does land upside down, which is not good. But what is good is that we included a reaction wheel on this, and we're going to be able to control this pretty well. But we need to get our engineer out to fix it, take off the connector bit. And our engineer today is named Milbus Kerbin. He's one of our new hires that we got right before the mission. So he's fresh-faced and a rookie. So he's looking to make a name for himself within this mission. So he's trying to decouple it manually, but not able to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to climb into the seat. Now, with here, I was really hoping that the seat would give me a first-person IVA mode so I can be through the eyes of the Kerbal to drive this. However, it is not that case. The only IVA mode we have from this is through the probe control room, and I don't exactly think that that's fair or realistic. So what we're going to do with our rover is we're going to do a combination of third-person, first-person cameras, and probe control room. I feel that since we have a Kerbal on board right now, being in third person is not exactly against our POV standards. So in order to accurately stage off the connector bit, that's why I put the Kerbal in the chair, to give it so as if the Kerbal himself is controlling the craft. So now you see us kind of bouncing each which way, and that's because of our reaction wheel. And the reaction wheel was the sole reason why we were able to flip this rover right side up. had we not put that reaction wheel on, once it landed on Minmus, that's where it would have stayed. We could have tried to like bounce it over using our Kerbal's helmets, but who knows what that would have happened. But this is Minmus, and we are on a slope, so we are going to be sliding very much. This is going to be a glider as we go down, whether we want to or not. So I'm trying to turn the brakes on fully and just get some sort of traction, but I can't. But I can do some science. So why not do some science? So now I get Urwise out, our scientist, and she's going to be the next the passenger seat of the rover. She's going to reset experiments and do all sorts of stuff, science stuff. So first she's going to go and just collect all the data from the experiments that we just did to kind of reset them. And we were going to head up to that rock formation up on that hill right there, but given how much sliding we're doing and the fact that the rover just wants to go downhill right now. Oh, and then we get run over a little bit. But given that the rover wants to go downhill, we're not going to be able to make it to that rock up there. So given that we have all these experiments on us, I go ahead and we get Urwise back to the craft. She tries to put it into the material storage and has to get real close to it, dangerously close to our solar panels. I accidentally find herself on top, decides to take a little picture for posterity, and then we hop her back in, we save the game, and then we hop her right back out just to get a refill on her RCS pack. So now she's got to meet up with the rover, which has been slowly sliding this whole time. Slowly because it still has its brakes on. I think if it didn't, it would have been over the horizon by now. But don't you worry, we are going to get some speed with this. We are going to really see how this thing moves. That is, if we could get into our seat. There we go, and now we're boarded. And we turn off our brakes. We try one more time to drive our way over to that rock that we looked at first, but it's not gonna happen. So I'm trying to regain some control as much as possible, but this rover has a mind of its own and it wants to go downhill. But luckily, downhill is in the direction of the flats. So we go through a series of views to try to see what will work best. We do go through the probe control room. The idea is that Milbus is driving, and the probe control room is just just monitoring what they're doing. I play around with the camera at one point and see that we have the option of making it look flat, but I decided to not do that. It does look nicer, but I decided not to do that because I want to be able to realistically see what kind of slope I'm on. So now, in order to keep from going way too fast, we're kind of going sideways along the slope, but we are still picking up speed. And then soon we find ourselves in a different biome, so we go ahead and do all the science we can. But we are still going way too fast for your wise to be able to get out of the seat and collect them. So we go ahead and try to throw on the brakes, try to slow ourselves down a little bit. Then we take off the brakes to keep ourselves from sliding back down the hill. Pass by a green sandstone, but we don't need that because we've already picked one up in the last time we were here. So there's no science to be gained from it. And I know that we're not at the best angle here, but I start to see another rock formation in the distance, so I'm going to try to aim for that. And I have to be careful not to go so fast that we end up flying by it, so I have to really time my brakes right. But of course, if I brake too soon and we lose too much momentum, we're going to just start pointing down the hill. As you can see, our craft is already wanting to. We're just struggling ever so, just so much struggle. Just trying to get this craft to remain on point. Just, you know, back and forth, brakes on, brakes off, just try to manage our speed. My fingers cramping from how hard I'm pressing the A button, trying to keep our direction pointed right. So now we start getting close and we're really trying to slow down. We hit it from the side and it bounces us around. We throw on the reaction wheel real fast just so that way we don't lose control. We find ourselves a nice little screenshot. And for some reason we got the achievement, the in-game achievement for aborting a mission without killing any Kerbals, but I don't know why it thinks that is the case. So we go ahead and stop here, and I try to use the scanner arm, but it tells me that I'm too close, and so we're gonna have to kind of push this rover back a little bit. So my brilliant idea was we get this Kerbal in between the rock and the rover, but in doing so it flipped us back very far. Because of course this is Minmus, and gravity is just a guideline. So of course it flips us back and we don't have any forward momentum. All we have is the sliding down the hill momentum. So I am just jamming on the W key right now, trying to get it speed up. But we've already started to miss it. So as we're sliding by it, I try to do the scanner arm, but it won't let me do it because the craft is moving. So I'm getting frustrated with this. And I'm starting to think, I'm like, all right, well maybe there'll be another green sandstone down in the flats, and or not green sandstone, but this kind of rock formation. Maybe there'll be one down in the flats, and we can scan that one. So I go, and once again we have to catch up with the rover. We gotta do it while it's in motion, try to enter the seat. And there we go. Yourwise is becoming a pro with the RCS pack. She may end up giving seminars to new astronauts before they go out onto their missions. Utilize her knowledge, make little extra funds. So now we're just gonna ride down this hill and then try to ride up that next hill and then ride down that hill, and we should be in the flats. And that's the primary goal for this mission, in that our contract requires us to do a series of science experiments, but all from the same biome, so it should be fairly easy. Once again, we are missing the mystery goo on this craft, but by any stretch of luck, the contract didn't require it. So now I'm going to time warp a little, or fast forward a little bit of the footage just to kind of speed up the long rove. This whole roving mission took quite a long time because you can't time warp while moving across the surface, so you can only drive at real time, which kind of makes you want to drive faster because then you'll get to your location quicker. However, when you drive faster, you end up where we're at right now, going almost 20 meters per second. Try to transfer some data. Telemetry report would be great to send out, but for some reason it's not recognizing our communication dishes as being adequate enough to transmit. So we go ahead and stow that again. It's best to keep everything stowed until you actually need it. And then Minmus decides to show off a little bit, and utilizing his insane amount of speed, decides to do a little backflip. Urwise had a great time and laughed, so he goes to try to do it again, but doesn't quite feel confident in the angle of his lift, so he brings it back down and goes for a second one, but ends up jamming on the control way too hard and goes for a double backflip and doesn't quite land it. So now everybody is going about 20 meters per second. Urwise is just flipping around all wild. Minmus decides to grab his RCS pack and control it. Even though he has a bit of a hard landing, he does survive. And so now that Urwise has some control... Oh, excuse me. This is Minmus. Urwise was the one that got the RCS pack in the first place and then fell. But then we have a little bit of a glitch. This is a common glitch in KSP, and it just requires reloading the save to fix. The glitch was as I was standing, even though I was in the air, and I wouldn't have been able to come back down. One thing I'm kind of bummed about is that in reloading the save, it stopped the momentum of the rover. I feel that the rover should have kept going. It would have been a lot harder for us to, catch up with it, but at least it would have been a little more fair. So we go ahead and get Minmus in the driver's seat once more, and we check on our life supplies because we just left Urwise way back there, and we want to make sure that she's got enough oxygen and other supplies to make it here. So we're going and we're heading back to the rover, but because of our high vantage, we were able to spot yet another rock formation on Minmus. So we can continue with our mission. We don't have a contract to scan it, but we definitely want that science. So since Urwise hit the rover and sent it moving forward, we had to let go of her control and go right back to Minmus's control of the rover, because now it's got forward momentum and it's going to be going down a slope. So we're going to just try to angle it to the rock and just see if we can just come to a nice stop next to it. The funny part is I did not even notice until much later, after we've already gotten the footage, and I decided to make a little short of that backflip, the backflip disaster that we had. And it turns out that I had broke the scanning arm completely off this rover. And so as I'm coming up here to do some science and to scan the thing, I still have not figured out that I won't be able to. There's nothing I can do with it. I can't scan it at all. So yeah, so it was kind of pointless. But nonetheless, we don't know that, so we're trying to get our craft to just line up with it enough and stop moving. It's not looking likely. So we go ahead and get Urwise out again. We just try to meet up with the rover. So she sits down right next to the rover. There's no need to get directly into the craft just yet. We use our reaction wheel to kind of turn us around, but we're getting no traction going forward. So then, thinking about his flip before, he decides to try using the reaction wheel to kind of like bump his way forward, but instead ends up flipping himself out of the craft. We get the rover down, landed safely, and then when we look for him, he's gone. Eurowise can't believe what she saw, but she knows what she needs to do. She can't wait until she gets home to honor her friend. So she throws a flag down in his memory. She's too far to radio back to the ship, and she's definitely too far to radio back to mission control. And so now she's stuck out in the Midlands between the ship and the flats, and she needs to figure out what to do next. Anyways, that is where I'm going to leave this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward to more of the series. If you did, please consider giving me a like, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.